Okay, I think that did it this time. Well, so much for it being the easiest system in the whole wide world to use. But it looks like everything is coming through okay. If anybody happens to be watching out there while I test, be sure to say hello in the chat so I know you can hear me. If not, I'm going to assume the microphone isn't working. Oh, there's a person. Roberts. Hello, Roberts. Just doing a bit of a check here to see if this works at all. I've got a 16,000 subscriber stream that I promised to do, and I want to make sure I can do it. It's kind of sad. When that coffee was freshly made is when I tried to start getting this set up. But of course, things don't go according to plan. Yeah, currently I'm using the microphone that's built into the X1 Nano, and it's this odd 360 sound cancellation one. So it's not my normal audio quality. I was attempting to set up my regular audio, but it was being a pain in the butt, and I'm more concerned about the video coming through okay. So, but good to know that it is weird. Appreciate that. So yeah, what we've got here is a T42 that I think was like a dumpster find from somebody. I bought a whole bunch of ThinkPads from a fellow in the UK, and yeah, this one came with it for free. Didn't work. It's got a fan error, and that's why I've got a fan part over here. And the idea is for the 16,000 subscriber milestone that we just went over, is this weekend. I'm hoping to find an evening because that's when the poll said was best, to do a stream of me replacing this in this unit. So hopefully this is the right fan. Everything that I found online said that it should be a-okay to put in. And I have to say that this fan is in pretty good condition in comparison to the one that's inside here right now, because it's in like two pieces. The specs of the T42, I honestly don't know because it hasn't turned on. It gets a fan error and it won't even let me go into the BIOS. But it does have the mobile Radeon 7500. When I go to replace the fan, I'll obviously see what CPU is sitting underneath there. I just haven't disassembled it that far because this thing, like I said, pretty sure it was found in a dumpster. A couple of other unique things about it is that it actually has, I believe, a tie keyboard, and it's actually just a whole bunch of stickers over what appears to be a regular US keyboard, but the stickers are legit. So if you ordered one of these from that part of the world, that's what it would look like. And I'm going to keep it that way because how often do you see a keyboard that looks like this? It's kind of cool. More fun making it is here. Well, I can officially quit. No, I'm just kidding. If you have not seen More Fun Making It and you like to see how things go together and just inspirational DIY and repairs, you really need to check out his channel. Fantastic stuff. Yeah, no, the keyboard is pretty sweet. So, what else can I show you here? This obviously is the top part of the lid, which is in, or the top part of the case. Really, really great. Video is in 480p, kind of grainy. Good to know. I'm not too sure how to fix that because right now I'm just using the YouTube functionality. I'm not trying to use OBS or anything, so I'm not entirely sure if that's something that I can adjust on my end, but thanks for letting me know. Hey, Tommy. That's very interesting. I don't think that there is any way that I can adjust it using the uh, YouTube end of things. So I'll probably have to try using OBS to get a better resolution. But that's why we're doing a test. So I appreciate you for pointing that out. But yeah, this is really, really dirty and gross on the inside, especially around the drive bay. There's like bits of what can only be described as brown. So that's not great. All that's going to have to be cleaned out. And yeah, the video, that is probably the camera because I am using my Sony A7R II, and I think it maxes out at 25 frames per second when I'm using it in USB mode. If I were to ever do this on a regular basis, then what I would do is I would get my HDMI out going into an HDMI in. But that's an investment I'm not planning on making in the foreseeable future, at least not yet. And yeah, this is the gutted insides of this T42. By and large, it's mostly clean. I don't know if it comes through, but I'm quite certain that the original battery leaked because there is some residue along here that's really, really crusty and gross. Everything else looks okay though. No, none of the screw heads are corroded or anything like that. There is a hard disk drive in here, so it'll be interesting to see if there's anything on it once we get this thing to boot. And if you were following on Twitter, you will know that I have been working on a lid restoration technique. So this is actually the machine I tried it on because it was pretty gross. And as you can see, I think it's turned out relatively well. There are some deep gouges and scratches that I'm not going to be able to get out, but by and large, it is looking much, much better than it did. And the secret to this, and I'll be making a video on this probably in the next couple of days, is actually black boot dressing. The stuff in particular I actually used was from Danner. They make boots in the United States, and the black boot dressing actually does a pretty good job of doing a restoration that is not greasy, that leaves no residue to the touch, and just in general seems to clean it up pretty nicely. I know that there are other methods out there that use like face cream, and those are pretty cool, but they're very, very high gloss. Yeah, it's essentially boot polish. It's actually closer to dubbing. Like if you take a look at it, it's like almost this shiny, greasy like substance. But boot polish tends to be a lot more matte. I've actually got some just off screen. Yeah, thanks for the recommendations there, Roberts. Honestly, if I was going to do this properly, I would obviously use OBS first off to make sure that I'm getting 1080p out to YouTube. And then after that, I could worry about the frame rate by using the HDMI capture. But personally, I probably won't stream too often. This is just kind of a special something for the 16,000 subs. And I'll be doing that probably this coming weekend. I have used the magic eraser before on a lot of the lids. I actually did a video on that. The one thing about the magic eraser is, and I'm sure you know this, is that it's essentially a super, super, super fine sandpaper. So you do take off a little bit of the finish every time that you use it. So you have to be pretty sparing with it because if you don't have a whole lot of lid, or depending on how much paint there is, you could actually end up taking off too much paint, and then you kind of have to take off the whole thing. So this was just an attempt to clean and see if I could restore the paint that was already sitting there. Because if you've handled a lot of ThinkPads, like they kind of have what they refer to as this peach texture paint. Or at least that's how it was described by a couple of people that I've interviewed. And yeah, you have to be really, really careful you how much you use those. Nope, you make an excellent point there, Roberts. I certainly won't deny that. I think, though, for most people that are tuning in, they're already subscribers to the channel, and that's really who I'm doing it for. Again, the idea of doing this live is kind of a one-off, just for fun, hang out, talk like we are now, that sort of thing. And yeah, if well, I won't say if, because realistically, I will never have the time to stream on any regular basis. That's just not really possible given everything as it is. But it is good to know. It is a test. Yes, you're absolutely right. Ooh, speaking of tests, this came in the mail today, and I'm actually really eager to test it. What it is isopropyl alcohol in a bottle. Now, what makes this unique is I have read and heard from several people that you can buy isopropyl alcohol in two forms, the 99.9% pure and then 70%. And so I've been told the reason behind this is because as soon as you expose 99.9% to air, it'll actually break down to 70. So I thought, hey, there's a Canadian company that is putting this in an aerosol can. That theoretically should mean that so long as it's in the can, it'll stay unexposed to the air. I can spray it out at 99.9, and then of course it'll break down as I'm using it, which is totally okay. But then I'm not paying a premium for a bottle of something I'm just going to open and then immediately have it degrade down to 70%. So I wanted to give this a try because, as I mentioned, I'm pretty sure that there was some battery leakage, and this back contact right here is just really, really gross looking. And yeah, the inside of the battery casing is also a little crusty. So I figured that would be a great method to attempt. Yeah, Roberts, I might have to pick your brain a little later. I'm not too sure if you're following me or even have a Twitter account, but that's probably the best place for us to chat about any kind of details that you might be able to share with me. And I see that someone's asking about the Nivea cream polish. Nivea cream does work. However, it's very, very glossy from what I've seen and read about. And I honestly don't have it. And I saw that other people had tried Dubbin. And if you don't know what Dubbin is, it's essentially a wax that is used to treat leather. And it kind of looks almost like a Vaseline. And they were able to use this to a moderately good impact. But I decided to try this, which is a boot dressing, which is very similar to Dubbin, but it's black. So it has a much nicer effect, I think, on the restoration of the lid. Anyway, so I just wanted to quickly see how well this stuff worked before I kind of called it quits for the first test stream anyway. So just bear with me as I get the nozzle ready to go. And I'm sure that there are other products like this in other parts of the world. This one just happens to be Canadian made. And being a Canadian myself, I thought it'd be great to try out. So let's go ahead and spray some of that in there. And again, nice thing about it being isopropyl alcohol is that it'll evaporate. So we're going to get in there, do a nice deep clean of that connector, and I can already see the stuff is just falling off. Yeah, that is coming off nice and dirty. So I'm already liking that spray contact cleaner. That's looking much, much better. Just even the amount of dirt that I've got coming off. Spray some more in there. Yeah, that's coming out black now. No, I think I got myself a real winner here. Oh yeah. That is much cleaner already. I don't know if you can really tell, but the silver pieces around this printer port are cleaned up much, much nicer. That's great. And a little bit of spray down here, I think. Yep, no, that is a good point about the water content for sure. Really depends on your application. But the nice stuff about the Pure, not only does it evaporate nice and quickly, but you don't need to worry about any water content being left over. So if you're working around battery connectors and things, like I am right now, you don't have to be quite as careful. Yes, I do have a Discord account, but I don't use it very often. So feel free to hit me up via email and I can give you those details if you want to reach out. And you can find my email on my About page and then contact me through there. For obvious reasons, I don't want to be giving that information out here just because I'd be inundated with people talking to me. By inundated, I mean like 3 of you. But yeah, this seems to be working out pretty well. I can see that there are a couple fingerprints from cleaning the other insides of this laptop. So, but overall, it's looking pretty good. You can see a couple of prints down there, but that's just from my own greasy hands, I suspect. Okay. So, things that we've learned. I need to use OBS to stream to make sure I get 1080p to YouTube. I need to see what I can to up the frame rate of that camera, although I think without using some kind of HDMI capture, I'm probably stuck with it. And get my actual microphone hooked up and not rely on the laptop one, which was a given for the actual streaming event. But for the test, which this is, I wasn't terribly worried about it. And while I'm here, I should probably wipe out all of this disgusting brown stuff. But my intention, if everything goes according to plan, is to have a stream either Saturday or Sunday night, my time. Probably, I would say maybe only an hour long. And during that is when I plan on swapping in this new heatsink and hopefully getting this thing to boot properly. And I know that this heatsink is really done because it's actually let go. So you can move the whole fan back and forth because all of the pegs that hold that fan in place, and it's easier to see here, have actually fallen out. So that fan is free floating. It isn't actually touching anything, which means it's ripe, ready to be replaced. And then, yeah, hopefully I'll be able to clean this up, see if there's anything neat on the hard drive, and then make a video on it at some point. So yeah, I think that's more or less all that I wanted to try out for this evening. I really do thank everybody for showing up. I know it's not super exciting to watch me stumble through a stream setup. This is also in the new film space, which I've set up elsewhere in the house, which is why the lighting is ever so slightly different and the camera angle is ever so slightly different. But it means I don't have to tear down everything every single time that I film. So there are benefits once I get used to everything else. And yeah, I think that'll be it for now. Thank you so much for coming. And I will post well in advance when the actual 16,000 subscriber stream will be this weekend. So I shall see you next time.